Oh, sorry. Okay, now I think yeah, we're live now. Go ahead, DiTina.
All right, so again, we're here with Andrew Bartzis, the Galactic Historian on 7/7 of 2021. I want to bring up the fact that he just launched his book, and also there's groundbreaking TV programs that are gonna be available for you, and we can talk about that soon. So, hello, Andrew.
Hello, DiTina and Lokesh. How are you guys doing today?
Good. Hi, Andrew. Thanks for joining us again. I know last time we had some gremlin issues. What do you call them? Gremlins?
Yes, energy gremlins. Don't
Yes.
add water.
And that was when we were in Sedona.
Right.
Yeah. All right. So I wanted to talk about post 2020. And
Okay.
there's a whole list of things that I'd like to kind of bring up and discuss, and then tie in some of that with the first chapter of your book.
Okay.
But what I was feeling just right before the show, when I think about 2020, is not just the deeper things like timeline and, oh boy, just the universal composition, but the relationship composition that we had with other people, right? We're locked down, we're with family members, with children. And so I was feeling this, how does the impact, or what is the impact of our thoughts onto other people, right? So if for instance, you get frustrated at someone and you think a thought about them, oh, they're so impatient, or they're so whatever. But how far did those thoughts go to an actual other person? Like how the impact of our thoughts, as well as what is our responsibility around even, is there a need to
All right. So the easiest way to understand this, that what you project that goes on and on and on and on and on and on. Does it really end? No. That's why we are all part of our past, present, and future selves that are simultaneously existing. Each individual I am is an expression of a soul frequency. And that soul frequency, lifetime to lifetime to lifetime, has different purposes, plans, and concepts. Some are meant to be emanators, constantly projecting something about the reality, good, bad, or indifferent, doesn't matter. When we get into the specifics of the question, let's say we have an ex-boyfriend or an ex-girlfriend, and you're projecting things at them, those are called projections. And those projections can be shame, envy, guilt, depression, hatred. Do those things affect that other person? Absolutely, they do. They may not show any physical effects, or they may show physical effects. It's all about, are they one of those empathic people that hears the mouse fart next door? Or are they one of those people that is dumb as a doornail and there's no psychic attack that affects them? Okay, we've all met those people that, for whatever reason, you could have a 2,000-year-old demonic vampire giving them the evil eye, and they're like, huh, whatever. Okay,
Yeah.
shrug it right off. And then there are the ones that are hypersensitive, and then the ones that in between are just pure confused because they're not acknowledging their spirituality. Projections are there for you to use your spirituality and your free will enlightenment to say no or yes to the projection, or to create a bubble around yourself that creates a medium space where whatever messages are being sent to you are slowed down in such a way that they can't have negative effects on your frequency.
Okay, so for instance, right now, live, people are watching us, people are making assumptions, or how does the online, how is that different from an interpersonal conversation or thought?
So there's me, you, and Lokesh here in physical conversation, but there's X number of people listening live and future. And the future will become past, and the past will become present, and past, present, and future means we've created an archive of simultaneously existing. So, and in fact, there are tens of thousands of people that are listening right now, just not in this linear perception.
Okay.
So are they a part of this call? Absolutely they are. You, me, and Lokesh have some form of spiritual educating contract that says we would come together in this time, space, location and open a window of opportunity to see something different. And this will play in the YouTube archives for as long as the channel remains open, and the amount of the duplicates that are made of it. So is there a guy in Atlanta, Georgia right now thinking about, oh, no, I'll turn this show on? Yes. Hey, George, you just logged in. Okay.
Hi, George.
But you might be George from 3 years from now. Okay.
Right. So the thought that someone else is having about that experience, is that different than the thought that they're having about the person?
Yes, they are different thoughts. They're also different states of perception.
Okay. So taking us back to like a relationship, right? Where let's say we're thinking really great things about someone.
Right.
I'm thinking about my daughter and how proud I am and how much I love her, whatever, there's something really great going on.
Mm-hmm.
Where does that go? How far does that go?
Well, in a mother-daughter, father-son, familial situation where love is a free exchange and it doesn't have traumas on conditional love, that energy goes right to their core and empowers them right away, as well as their energy go right to your core, because once you feed them with that beauty energy, they feed you back with a beauty energy. It's the nature of children. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's more of a natural living where empathetically we can hold on to what it is that we're working on and not send negative, but send the unlimited positive energies we have around us.
So as part of the self-love and the spiritual cleanliness, the energy cleanliness, could we incorporate some of that, maybe the more negative thoughts that we might get off of people? Is that spiritual hygiene?
That is spiritual hygiene. When you name out some of those thoughts that may not be a part of your reality, but you're reminding your reality that I'm not allowing myself to devolve to that level. Like, I will not have thoughts about hurting animals, no matter what negative projection is coming to me from another source. These are my rules, borders, policies, and procedures about broadcasted energy at me. If it violates any of these, it goes to the edges of my aura and the projection's not accepted in. It moves on in the universe.
Okay, so could you give us another example of maybe a daily thing to say?
Okay, as a mantra expression, let's say you're going to be doing a sun gazing moment where you're going to have your eyes closed and allowing the sun to fully engage. And this is where you say it right as the eyes close and the sun's on your face. I, in this ever-present moment of now, choose to engage my sacred discipline. The discipline I am choosing today is to open myself up to this sunlight, so that any projections from a past, present, or future source that is having negative impacts on my thoughts, feelings, emotions, I now dissolve that energy with the power of the sun. I allow this energy to coalesce at the edges of my field and be returned to those that are sending. I do not exchange energy with those beings who are using manipulation, domination, control with their energy. I'm clearly defining this as an act of a love being, not as a being of denial. And you can go on and on and on, validating your harmonic truths.
Ooh, I love that. Yeah, validating your harmonic truths.
Right. That's what really empowers rules, policies, and procedures with projections.
Yeah.
And if we just do it in our head versus speak it out loud, like how much is the difference? Like,
you should almost always do it out loud. Too many people get caught in the head, and the head does not make manifest. Out loud means you're taking your light thinking and creating sound with it. That's alchemy. Okay, can you sing it? Can you rap it? You can do anything you want with it, but it's not meant to be silent. There are times where silent revocation builds up power, so we have a more powerful out loud revocation, invocation. part of the system I like to talk about, it's the out loud name it to claim it system. It's not the internal name it to claim it. There's a reason of the outer world. It's your hologram that has these shared reality rules. And the more you learn to manipulate the user controls of the hologram through your voice interaction, and after a while, voice in hand, voice in mind, many forms or thoughts are with the reality interface devices, thoughts, minds, bodies, spirituals, astrals, okay, until we maintain a multidimensional visionary process. That is our daily practice.
And if we play a musical instrument, that we can pass it on to that one as well, right? Like
the answer is yes, because the music, let's say you're playing guitar. Can you be doing revocations in your mind and playing the guitar? Yes, you can. You're still making a sound manifestation. But there comes a moment where the guitar solo needs its lyrics. That's music. Okay. Spiritual practice and music, when you up at that level, you're able to put a lot more data into your whole journey of the spiritual journey of what you're doing.
So you kind of used a word I was going to bring up later, but I'm going to use this right now. The hologram. So what is the relationship between a hologram and illusion?
An illusion is a false belief empowering or a fake belief manipulated. So there's a projection that seeds information in which we create around it and allow it to be the illusion. The hologram is the background energy of all the celestial energies, life force here. And we're sharing an experience with this celestial life force, which makes up this hologram in which we create time. And inside that time, we incarnate or reincarnate. And that's where the functions of the shared reality rules, how we share this celestial hologram.
Okay, so for instance, you're just having a conversation with someone and they throw out the word, but we're all an illusion, or this is all an illusion, or,
That's the term Maya. And it's a Buddhist term, Maya, the dream energy. We are both a duality and a singularity at once. Spirituality is just figuring out how to do both without competing with each other, so that you can have the otherworldly experiences and this world experience, and need one world not be more important than the other as part of your ongoing experience of living, loving, learning, and expanding. So there are times that I'm here in the duality because I'm doing my mission, my purpose, my love, my enjoyment of doing this. And then there are times I'm vacationing in the other world, okay, when I'm not doing this stuff. And then there are times, my spiritual PA knocks on my spiritual door and says, you got to come back to this world.
Yeah.
Okay. You got appointments on the other side. Okay. So the duality and the singularities are all states of perception, perspective, and then the nature of experience that we want out of each one.
Which is kind of like that video you did a long time ago about the divinity path.
Well, that's when beings are making a higher choice in their alive I am moments, using that declaration as a marking point in time in which they are stoking their furnace. Okay, getting their light very hot. That's the divinity path.
Okay, got it.
Okay, that's the divinity path, meaning you're burning bright pure light for a long time.
Okay, and then within the heat, how does that tie into timelines?
So the heat is a byproduct of the light, and the heat will determine the quality of beings that are going to interact with you. Powerful heat and light will reject negative entities faster than you can even think. which means it's going to attract like-minded entities that can produce the same amount of light and the same amount of heat. And you'll start glowing together in a network and attract more and more and more people. And then create, I don't know, a trusted group of people to begin implementing new versions of expressions, teachings, and experiences through the heat and light.
But then when we're looking at this particular timeline that we're on, let's jump back to 2020.
Okay.
So even bringing that idea of heat in, where was the heat, I guess globally for 2020 and then kind of going forward?
Well, we had a cold spell, so everybody's heat was not as effective.
Right.
When Trump didn't get elected, plus all the crazy stuff that follow up, it broke a lot of hearts that thought Trump was the savior. Okay.
Yeah.
And it created a lot of broken spiritual people. And I even announced this on my shows. We're going to see a lot of broken Trumpers. Well, this last year, I mean, it proved right. The first 5 months of the year, it's depressy after depressy after depressy with a few really, coolies here and there. A lot of people that just got so fed up with the other world that they walked away from it. They had to create a new reality for themselves. So we've been in this cold spell, but that cold spell is artificial. It was a setup to depress people so that they could have 4 years of nothing happening, because they don't want anything happening right now. And human beings are at a tipping point where they can make many things happen in their local bubble of reality that the system will never detect. Never detect it. You don't need a lot of skill to create a thought construct that the system can't see. Turn off your cell phone, walk away from your computer, go out to a tree. It's that simple. Go out into a field, get out of your car, reconnect to nature, the original internet.
Right?
The original.
Okay. Get off the dark web and onto the light web. Does that answer your question about the hologram?
Yeah, a little bit, but that also ties back into that idea of thought. So thoughts projected onto us from this higher level or global level, right? So if we're all thinking certain things, how is that affecting us?
First thing first is we're not a collective.
Right.
We are an uncollective,
right,
trying to figure out how to be a collective.
Yeah.
The collective does not view linear time. The uncollective lives on linear time. So as we reach the apex point where linear time becomes infinite time, we will get closer to our collective selves and have greater visions about the collective selves. But until that time, we are still the individuals of the uncollective trying to discover about the collective in the future. We're the ones living today now that have to act today now to better ourselves, our clans, our tribe, our nation, our earth. And we have to figure out how we can be of contribution and service with our spiritual sides during our physical days.
Right, but that kind of ties back to the heat, like amplify your own heat, get out Wi-Fi.
Selfish growth versus community growth. All too often, people in our communities want this community growth, when in fact what the person needs is individual selfish growth, so that they can be a better part of a higher frequency community. If you don't heal your traumas, how can you be in a high frequency community?
Exactly. But then you get
how would you how would you know like you've healed? Because sometimes it's a trick that the mind plays, right? That we're done, and then how do we know like that we've healed ourselves and we're ready?
You're now asking the faith question.
Trust, it's trust and faith.
Which is, you and I have talked off air many times, and you have this teeter-totter process: faith, unfaith, faith, unfaith, faith, unfaith. You get motivated and are spiritual for a long period, and then you lose it, and then it comes back. So you're on a teeter-totter between your faith, but that's what you should be working on in your inner work, knowing your own faith. At what point did your faith break enough inside you that you created this teeter-totter?
So it's like just having full trust. I mean, it's like when there's no doubt, right? That I've healed myself. Like I don't have to ask anybody. That's when I know.
You already know. You already know. But then there are times where ego can make us think we already know. And sometimes that's a vicious cycle, a healing cycle people get caught into. Okay, these are, spiritual traumas of repetition. A lot of people get stuck in thinking they're healed and healed and healed, like sexual trauma. If you don't actually do the physical body work, you're not going to get it out of you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and that's why on my shows, we are people that were traumatically abused at a young age. They do and do, and it seems like it's never healed. And then they do the body side of it combined with the spiritual side, and they understand what it means to have to be in the body, because that's the original damage that permanently kicked you out.
So once somebody is healed, there's also a chance they can go back to that state
Absolutely.
of trauma.
They can fall back into unhealedness and revert all the good work that they've done in a matter of minutes. I call it tearing up the garden of the self and starting over. Okay. A lot of people do that with their spirituality. Every 90 days, they open a door and throw everything out that's spirituality and start over. And at the end of the next 90 days, they do it again and again, because I'm not finding anything. And they're stuck in expectation. Expectation's a limitation. Spirituality is about accepting time and no time as part of your natural experience.
Yeah, also there's so much information now. It's like we're looking for the next shiny thing, I guess. It's like there's always something. So that's where I think it gets tricky, is like, how much do I learn? What do I do next? That kind of
how much sucking on the nipple of information is too much. Especially for, a person in our modern day and age. Is social media nipples? Yes, it is. It absolutely is. Or a beer tap, if you want to use it as that. People get drunk on it.
Yeah.
Okay. And then all of their character flaws show up. And they have no idea their character flaws are fully present to everyone. Even the most dumbest psychic out there can see your character flaws.
Right, but that's still kind of, it's all back into that thought process, right? So we have these impure, untrue thoughts, then you have the thoughts of others, and it's like this information coming at you. It's like,
but you're seeing thought from mind, which is myopic, meaning it's very limited in its expression. We were heart before we were thought.
Yeah.
Okay. And then there's called cerebral heart space awareness, where the brain and the heart have created the neuropathic connections between the two, and they're not separate with each other, are not competing with each other, and are not hierarchical of each other. That's when we're entering that higher consciousness knowingness phase, and learning how to re-enter that phase as part of the spiritual user interface. Okay. So when you don't see thought from mind, you see the thought from the mind and the heart. You can see the thought and all of the programs that are generated behind the thought, which may be part of a projection from somebody else.
Yeah.
Which will then allow you to break down, what's it actually doing to me? Is it diluting to me, or is it adding light to me? And break it down as simple as, does it dilute my light or add to my light? Okay. And then projections just fall away. Just like, you're on a sandy beach and you get up and the sand comes right off of you.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And you may have a little sand in your shorts, but that'll get away fast. Okay.
Or maybe I want that sand.
Exactly. Maybe you want that sand.
All right. So hypothetically, we've got a person who is in a family, and they are the only person that is feeling this sense of awakening or sense of depth. Right. And then they're surrounded by a bunch of family members that aren't.
So we're looking at a cookie cutter scenario.
Sure.
So what I want to do is define the cookie cutters context.
Okay.
Because social media is the way that it is, how many times on your social media do you see a post as, are you guys feeling the awakening today?
Oh my God.
Is your butt tickling because your Uranus is going at Saturn? Do you feel headaches when you wake up? God, that could be the flu. All the ascension syndromes. That is a subconscious attack on people's minds.
Oh yeah.
Actually.
Thank you for saying that.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is a subconscious attack to make you think about the awakening, which in fact makes you not think about it. It's counterintuitive. So you take that social media aspect, forcing you to think about ascension syndromes. Most people don't feel jack shit. Okay. Why? Because they're not paying attention to it. Now, when the negative projections, let's say mainstream media is going to talk about fear porn, COVID is going to kill you today, or Iran's got nuclear weapons, those are all things to put you into a stress state of adrenaline gland. Mm-hmm. And once you're in adrenaline, you're going to be highly acidic. Once you're highly acidic, you're producing a lot more electrical charge in the body, and that electrical charge can be harvested from our systems of contracts. And how energy flows through the whole hologram.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that individual in that house is still connected to the rest of the world, but it's the individuals in those houses' perception that their projections are controlling or manipulating that person, which is what that person is feeling: control and manipulation. The dumbing down or the dulling of their own light from projections, because they can't stand in their own sovereign space to say no to energy projections.
So if you're saying no to energy projections, what are you saying yes to?
You have to define that.
Okay.
Part of the spiritual growth of hygiene is it's more than just a bar of soap. Sometimes you want a scrubby. Okay. Maybe you want a hard sponge to work on that other stuff. There are different tools we take in our hygiene. Yeah. Maybe you need a water pick to get something out of your grinding teeth. Okay. The metaphor.
So does everything have a benefit?
Absolutely. Effort creates benefit.
So if it always has it, then do we really need to focus on it?
Absolutely. Conscious will and process of mastering the sacred art.
I meant like the actual benefit. So like process, like the benefit could be part of a prayer, right? Like
absolutely. It could be minuscule, or it could be minuscule, or it could be maximized. You're still the person perceiving the experience, and it's the totality of the experience when the experience is done. Okay. And then this is understanding the nature of moment-to-moment living. In moment-to-moment living, we can have a powerful experience that lasts many moments. But when those moments are done, a new experiences begin, and it becomes memory. If it's a powerful memory, it will become light memory in our long-term and easily remembered visions behind it, like the birth of your child, the weddings, the greatest moments of your life. Those can be easily replayed in your mind without limitation.
I love that. Yeah, light memory.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah, and when an experience ends, it becomes a memory. Now, there are chemical memories, which may not have all that other empathic data part of it. It was an okay day. Or you know what? It was a good day, but not a terribly good day. Okay.
Okay, so this is memory, but how does even deja vu tie into that? Because those have like a feeling to them.
So deja vu is a very unique experience where time is crossing over. Mm-hmm. The past, present, and future in that moment is irrelevant to the instantaneous observance of the deja vu. So the individual observing the deja vu as an experience, they suddenly become outside of time, even though their memory records it inside a time frequency. So it's the duality and singularity at the same time, which is meant to lead you into areas of thoughts, minds. What does the deja vu mean in the moment? Is it just validating something? Is it giving you right path? There's all sorts of data in that deja vu.
Yeah, and that's what that it's such a spark, you know, that feeling. It's like, wow.
Right. And it's a common experience all humans share.
Mm-hmm. Right. So if it's the no time, is deja vu is like only something that is happening within here, or is it in fact linked to other timelines?
It is in fact linked to other timelines.
Okay.
But it's making a manifest over here.
Is it that manifest that makes it so powerful feeling?
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
Its final transversal point was here.
Got it.
And then we may trigger something that creates a deja vu in another being in another place in space-time. And then again, so on and so forth, constantly connecting to them, keeping the many selves connected through time and space.
Is it worth going past the deja vu and sitting with it?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. At any moment, you can re-enter any past deja vus if the memory is powerful enough. It's still there. It's not stopped.
Yeah, because that's what I thought of when you said light memory. I just instantly thought deja vu.
Right. You go into that superluminal space.
Yeah.
You're thinking in the fluid of light. We've all had superluminal thinking. We're just inside our brain thinking fast. There's no speed limit in our brain.
So, can you please define intuition?
All right, I'm going to play my classic Andrew game with you. Okay. So, what has been your most validating intuitive moment?
For me?
Yeah.
I don't know if I can think of one. I've had so many.
Just pick a couple that you might think other people could associate with.
Don't go down that road. And then there was a car accident on that.
Okay. Okay. So if nobody's ever had an intuitive moment of don't go down that road, it's not an experience for them. And once it becomes an experience to them, it becomes part of their contextual nature moving forward into reality. Contextual nature is vitally important. And intuition is about, hold on. Intuition is about understanding the contextual reality, how the fabric of the singularity interacts with the duality that keeps a global narrative going, that keeps a cluster of 20 million living beings on the surface world in indebted servitude under the global narrative in a harvesting situation.
Whoa.
I'll have to write that down and break it down.
One is definitely.
I got a whoa. I got a whoa.
Can I ask a quick follow-up question,
Sure,
DiTina?
sure.
So you said unity and what's the other one? Like there's a single linear
Singularity and duality.
and then you were duality, right?
Yeah, yep.
Yeah. So how quickly does the shift happen? Like for me, sometimes I feel like it's so instant. I'm like in no time almost, and then I have to buy something, and I have to shift so quickly to turn to that, singularity linear moment that I don't know. It's probably different for different people, but are you talking about shift happens slowly or instantly, or could be any combination?
It could be any of that, but understand it like this. Are you in that multidimensional experience as first person in the body, second person narrator, or third person outside of the body? How are you experiencing it? There are times, let's say we're in a high spiritual frequency in a moment and we need a Slurpee. Okay. And we're going to go down to the 7-Eleven. We're going to get a Slurpee. We've then activated a physical program in us because we want the sugar. We want to continue this experience. While we're down there, we decide to get, some of the other stuff that we need. That's being intuition. Okay. My stoner butt is going to need some munchies. Okay. Okay. You come back to the house and you go back into the experience. Okay.
So different people might be doing that differently. Like for me, it happens very quickly sometimes, but like for you, for example, like how quickly or how often do you switch back and forth? Maybe like
it's
it
seamless.
depends. Like
It's
yeah.
seamless for me. Like when I'm done doing this interview, there'll be a 10 or 15-minute period where I'm just cycling down the energies and going back into a state where there's not an audience in an archive looking at me. Okay. I'm back to being just solely me and the things observing solely just me, which is an individuated state for me. And then I re-enter my body as the first person and go, what are we doing now? I want to be lazy now. I'm entering the second person and I'm going to binge watch. Or no, I'm going to enter the third person where I'm sitting in front of the computer and coming up with powerful spiritual words, but I'm also outside of my body processing these spiritual words while I'm in my physical body. Or you know what? Screw it. I'm going to disconnect from everything and go fishing. Okay, which is another state of consciousness. And then that allows me to go through a different form of shift. Because you're asking about the natures of the shift. We all can make radical shifts or slow shifts. It's when we get stuck in the slow moving process that we mire ourselves down in mediocrity. And we have to learn to set goals out of mediocrity. And that's really what ties people up on do, not do. Is it enough? Is it not enough?
And also the accepting it, right? Because we need that validation.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I'm like, am I going crazy? Because it's like, those thoughts coming that are not, this is not normal reality, the thoughts I'm thinking. That's why we need the validation and support, right?
Exactly.
Like the community and people that are thinking the same things. Otherwise,
similar wavelength to you.
Yeah. I also have one more thing about self-love versus selfishness. So sometimes when we're taking care of ourselves, like sometimes we can probably go too far in self-love and like get too selfish. So I think you touched upon it last time a little bit, but is there like any, I know there's no rule, but is there a way to gauge that kind of like?
Are you familiar with the term sloth?
I forget
one
the
of the
meaning.
7 deadly sins. You go so deep into something, you overindulge and you become a sloth at it. All too often, example, gamblers go into the term of sloth very fast because they can't control their impulses. In all reality, the biggest thing about the human development is impulse control. Once you learn impulse control and how to program positive impulses, then you own this reality. Okay. And then you learn how to create regular times of validating your impulse control by maybe I need to update my impulses and look at some of the things. I can't have any more sugar for a while because I want to do a diet. Therefore, I'm changing my impulse control. I'm stopping the sugar for the next 90 days. Okay. So it'll come down to impulse control.
Discipline, right? Discipline.
Well, impulse control is discipline as well as commitment to the discipline. A lot of people have discipline, but they don't have long-term discipline. They give up on themselves too fast. Okay? And then there are other ones who have deluded themselves as the fake it to make it for so long that they don't know the reality of what doing nothing has done to them, and that doing something is so radically different from doing nothing that they don't have the nature of the experience, and they're expecting so much, and then they don't get it, and then they quit.
Yeah, again, they don't get either the support, the community, the people, and they're like giving up kind of a thing. Do you envision any communities? I know there's spiritual communities around the world, but do you think there's any new possibility of such communities where kind of like-minded people live together and stuff like that?
So
Or?
I'm a bit of a pessimist on this community thing. Okay, and this is from a sacred neutral pessimist point of view. Humans aren't healed enough to have real communities. Over the years of doing this, I've had so many people come to me, join this community, this community. When I was part of New Earth Nation, we tried to do this whole community building thing. And it wasn't that it soured it, it revealed the truth about it. There's none of these communities last long because there's no real conflict resolution they can all agree on. And then so many people come to these communities and they say, I can do all of these things. I can do construction. I can do this. I can do permaculture, but I'm an emotional wreck. I'm going to ruin all your lives because I've never worked on myself. And that happens in these communities. Or you have somebody that's super spiritual and so super spiritual, they become the local spiritual Karen and then shoo people away because they're exerting their power. And then there are times you get people with a common idea. We're going to come together and share a community because we're all going to have children and we're all going to pay for teachers and education. That's different. That's not a spiritual community. That's a human relations community. That still will require conflict resolution. Okay. And then some of these communities want to do it on the illegal side. They don't want to get permits. They don't want to work with the land or the law. And then they end up falling apart because they never did any of the legal stuff. Incorporated their land to give them law protection in case they get sued. You know, basic 101 concepts that get thrown out of the door when people go to, I want to put the community together. Now, as I said, I'm a pessimist at this. You're asking, are there communities out there that can help people? Yes, there are. They won't last, though. And I know anybody that's in those communities, talk with your local neighbors about conflict resolution. How do we all get to the same perception of conflict resolution so people don't hold grudges? That's what ruins these communities.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to bring in a little bit of the chat. I took some time just for a second to look through here. Lots of responses, but I thought it was interesting. Lana, she said, please ask Andrew how many beings are listening to the show total right now. And I thought it was interesting, the beings, and then someone above there.
I've talked about live show numbers many times before. Right now, we have about 3.5 billion beings listening as part of Past, Present, Future.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. And while I have my phone out, there was something else that came up for me along the line of that energy you guys were just talking about. So can we talk about a psychic ego and how that fits into either a home life or this idea of community?
I like the term psychic ego. So we've all seen a spiritual Karen, and because we're using cookie cutters, so I want you to think of a Christian spiritual Karen that's opened up to the Q community.
Okay, I got it.
We can understand that frequency. Okay. And is that spiritual ego? Absolutely, it is. Right. If that Karen walks up to you on your Facebook page and puts a post up that says, I want to talk to your manager, what are you going to say in your social media self?
My social media.
Versus saying it to the spiritual Karen's face in a community.
No.
Okay. And then the Karen goes, the customer is always right.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you go, well, it's my wall and you're not my customer.
Yeah.
Right. In real life, Karen's not going to stop. You're going to have to call the cops on Karen. You're asking about community. You're asking about spiritual ego and communities. So seeing spiritual ego is easy. How we deal with it, okay, a psychic ego, how we deal with it is how we know ourselves. when it's blatantly obvious, like a Karen. And then there are other times where it's a manipulative narcissist that's good at hiding at being a narcissist.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Or
Right.
it's a pure on sociopath with no emotions, but it pretends every day to have emotions. Okay.
Right. So tying in that word intuition
helps us get through the journey of the experience of what's going on in the moment. Intuition is this raw flow of data that validates pattern recognition, past, present, and future.
Right. And then does that ever shift the timeline itself?
Absolutely. There are times where when we trust our intuition and we don't get pushed off of a timeline, or we stay on the timeline we're supposed to, because we trusted our intuition.
Have you ever been pushed off of the timeline?
Oh God, many times. Yeah. Oh yeah.
How did you get that?
Box them. put up the Mike Tyson energy with brick gloves. Okay. The whole knockout. I'm gonna knock you out.
Did you get knocked out in 2020?
No, I took a step back. But I didn't really take a step back. I just changed the nature of what I was doing. I added a comedy show, and I cut down the number of live shows. Instead of 1 a week, I decided to do 2 a month, which gave me more time to recover on the human side. And the comedy show repaid my life force so much. I mean, I love working with Monty, and I love working with Bruce, and having an opportunity to just let it rip in a different way.
So is there such thing as a cloaking, like a cloaking of energy?
Absolutely. People get very skilled at hiding their energy, hiding who they are. That's why fake it to make it work so good.
On a really big scale.
Yes.
So when you're doing the work that you're doing, you have like nothing can see you, or you get really super cloaked, or what is
so that? Are you familiar with the Mandela effect revocation?
Yes.
There is a line in there where I'm infinitely invisible, infinitely undetectable.
Yeah.
There's a paragraph in there that defines exactly that.
Okay.
Infinitely untraceable to you. So yes, we can have pure obfuscation through time and space out of choice to the unentangled observers that are trying to manipulate us as entangled observers. Hamster wheel's moving fast on that one. It's not smoking, it's working fast.
So how many layers of the ether element does a human body have then?
An infinite amount if it wants. But usually it's stuck to in the 20s, which is the total potentiality of what it can do in any moment.
And then where's the Akashic?
It is the past, present, and future simultaneously existing. It's the transition between third and fourth dimension, but it exists on all dimensions as fabric.
Yeah, I saw it as the fourth, and then I was just talking about that the other day, and I was like, no, it's right there.
Well, there are aspects that are more real on the fourth and less real on the third. Tapping into it is what gets you into the hub of interconnectivity, which is all of the Akashic records, not just this world.
But if there's all these different timelines going on, how those are that's like the grand big book?
So your celestial source represents the Akashic broadcast frequency. So you're connecting with a celestial Akashic record keeper. So our world, Earth, is the Akashic record keeper for every living sentient thing going on during its era of light. Now, there are other worlds that have their own broadcast of it, but all worlds are still a part of the greater Akashic record, which is the universal record. All stars, all planets combined as one massive universal record. And then there's the trans-universal record.
Okay. So that's 3.
Okay. And it can keep
And then
going.
like bring that
And then it can keep going and going and going.
Okay.
There can be 2,000 universals of collections out there. At that point, an individual being is collecting universal Akashic codes and then seeding them through other universes, which is a greater element of moving light from one reality to another. Getting the cousins to move out of the mountains and into the city, or getting the kids to move out of the city and into the mountains for a different experience in light, a different density of it, a different way to generate uniqueness.
I like that. Generate uniqueness.
Yep.
Okay. So if we're back to 2020 and certain things shifted and changed, and we're in 2021,
what shifted and changed for you? I will say this. You probably heard me say this. COVID was the gift that keeps on giving and giving and giving and giving to me. It's been one of my greatest years out there. Personally, professionally, socially, emotionally. Okay.
Yeah.
2020 was great. Is 2020 it's the gift still giving for me? We had a year off where people could force themselves to do practices. Holy shit. And people that are doing the practices are showing the results. And I'm seeing that in my private practice.
Yeah.
Look for you when we first had our first session, what was it, a year and a half ago?
Yeah.
Well, as soon as you started doing, what happened? Oh my God, it worked.
Yeah.
Okay. As soon as you got out of your own way and strategized your self-illumination.
Totally. And
you took control of your life. Did I give you keys? No. I just reminded you where you put the keys. Okay.
You'll get this.
Yeah, you'll get it. Your keys are not in your purse. You're getting a little warmer.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. You did all the work.
So warm.
Yeah, you did all the work.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So the Akashic
still
Records
giving.
is the Akashic.
I was going to say, for me, it's still giving. So the gift is still giving. I was just wanting to add, I think it'll keep on giving for the next few years. So.
Me too. I think we're going to reap a lot of benefit, and it's a matter of the community of niche market people that are there. People listening to this podcast and the subject matters we talk about. They got to just disconnect from social media and learn how to live life again. Okay.
Yeah.
You don't want to go into the great awakening, a curmudgeon. Okay. You don't want to go in angry, do you?
No.
And
I'm not going to wait for the next QAnon to.
Right. I'm not going to wait.
There'll be another Xenon. I think another one is coming up. Xenon.
Exactly. Yeah, the next one's going to be, instead of Q, it's going to be R. Okay. Okay.
Do you think in the future we'll have phones to talk to people in other timelines? I don't know, just somehow
you won't need a device.
Okay.
You'll be taught how to do it with your mind.
Telepathy. Okay.
It's not really telepathy.
Mm.
It's a closed circuit light exchange.
Okay.
Wow. I've been trying to figure out how to word that. Thank you.
Right.
And we don't know, obviously, we can't predict the timeline of when that's going to happen, but that's just like something that's coming up, I guess.
It's already happened. This is the conundrum of past, present, and future, collective and uncollective. We are still the living uncollective who has not experienced a collective moment yet. But the collective has already experienced it. It's coming back to us as uncollective being going, hey guys, look over here. Hey, pick up this stone. Look over here. Oh shit, you're not paying attention to me.
So it's one person at a time is happening slowly. Like it's not.
It's not one person. It's all individual. This has always been an individual experience. It was never meant to be a collective experience. And that's the big lie the light worker community keeps propagating over and over again. We're all doing it together. No, you got to do your own individual work for it to function.
Yeah, what's the difference between one person at a time and individual? It's the same thing, right?
One person at a time denotes linear. It's an uncollective linear experience.
Okay.
So go into your quantum theory. So that means us, future us's, who are unentangled observers, who are part of a collective of the many us's who came together to validate a galactic change and to enforce new energetic rules on the shared reality that doesn't allow energy harvesting anymore, which then frees our world to enter the galactic network of commerce that's not harvesting, but repaying for people's experiences.
So that individual is me as a person, right? What's the difference?
Because the individual you changes every day. So there's many yous working on that individual journey.
Okay.
And of those many individuals, some may have spiritual powers, some may not. Some may not know how to use them, some may be very good at it.
So we're all, as people, we're all a mix of many individuals. So there's different ranges of how do you define that?
You're not literally many individuals. You are many individuals, but your consciousness identifies with you as this individual.
In this moment, but in the next moment, I could be another individual. Like
you could have an aha moment where there's many individuals are part of your awareness, but you may not be aware of that awareness. Or you could be having a spiritual experience that makes you aware of awareness.
Right, that's where it gets confusing.
But that's high level thinking, and that could easily be overthought. And a lot of people overthink some of the higher consciousness stuff. You just have to let it percolate inside you and grow with your perception.
Patience, right? Like be patient, because sometimes I lose patience. Like, why is this not happening now? It's like because it takes time, linear time as well, right? Like just because I've thought of something doesn't mean it's happening now, right?
Exactly. But it could be happening now if we're thinking about it and manifesting it.
I mean, in my mind, it might be happening, but how do you define happening in my mind? But
you're like DiTina was before. You're still in the state of mind. You're not in heart. You were a heart before you were a mind. The original state of perception is through the heart.
So that's where intuition is in the heart, right? Yeah.
Yes. So we have to learn heart observation so that we can learn heart mind observation. So we can interpret the duality as a heart and a mind.
Both at the same time or shift between one and the other?
Doesn't really matter. They could be all at the same time or individual or dovetail into each other.
Okay.
So if I step into my heart right now and you guys are talking and sharing and experiencing, I'm so thinking of children. Like,
okay.
Part of me wants to blow up the world. I was also talking about this too, but just the school system. How do we start this, Andrew? Like, I have so much momentum going as far as like yes and all of that, but and how do we start teaching our kids this without blowing their minds?
Right now, this is the crux of the uncollective's problem. How much is too much and how much is too little? What is mediocre and what isn't mediocre? what is burning oneself out and what is not burning oneself out. And the individuals have to make the individual choice. What can I do today? What do I know I can do tomorrow? And what am I lying to myself about what I can do? So the know thyself journey, like when it comes to education, well, you got to start teaching the child early on about who they are as an individual being in the body, so that they learn how to have body relations. So many kids get kicked out of their body because they're playing video games, or they've been traumatized, or they're just stuck in their head. You got to teach them spatial relations, 3D matrix concepts, give them a tape measure at 2 years old, okay? So they can understand depth and distance, colors, artwork, in exposing that to them while they're still doing the public school, because you still need time off to rest and recover. We're not all living the natural life where everyone's being taken care of. We got to do what we can do and know what we can do and not fake it.
Right. So, like on a personal level, I have a lot of that fire, Andrew. I have a lot of that like desire, and it's really hard to know which direction to go. And I know I'm not alone. I know there's a lot of people out there.
Now you're talking about tempering wildfire, okay, and making something out of it.
Yeah.
That journey is an experience that you just cannot instantly manifest. You cannot snap your fingers and the sword is folded and forged. You got to go out and get the raw metal. That's the first part of the experience. You got to drive it home. You get a speeding ticket on the way home. It pisses you off. Therefore, you don't start melting your sword down for another 2 weeks because you're lazy. Okay, you get in 2 weeks later, you get into your forge room, you get the forge all heated up, and then your wife comes off and pisses you off and has a honey to-do list, and you got to wait until tomorrow before you can start melting down your sword and putting it into a form. And then I didn't fill up my quenching water, and you decide to not quench your sword and leave it there, and you hit it with the hammer the next day and it shatters.
Yeah.
Okay? Sure. Forging yourself is about allowing yourself to go out and have the experience one step at a time, and knowing when we're putting the cart before the horse or overdoing what we can't really do. You're not going to change the world with one broad brushstroke. Unless it's a cat video, like I've said, there's one cat video away.
Right, yeah.
Maybe you can. There's a video you can do that a billion Asians are going to absolutely love it. It's go viral through them and it wakes everyone up. That could happen. I don't know. But we got to touch that creative source and temper it with experience. So you want to help kids and children? Well, develop
kids, yeah, for sure.
Develop something that's a summer experience, let's say 10 days. And what are they going to learn? Colors, spatial experiences, animals, right? All the things you'd want to have a child to have in their reality.
Yeah,
all those fun experiences.
I kind of want to meet them where they're at that teenage year.
Okay.
Aren't they already brainwashed by then? It'd be too late.
Most of the time.
The ones that are already there is what I'm saying, the ones that, just the difference of their worlds, of the ones that are teenagers now, they're that beginning generation of cell phones, and
that's right.
The massive change since 2012, yeah, in 2012. So that's where I feel called.
Here's one example that could cookie cutter fit what you're saying. A spiritual healing animal farm, like healing horses, horses that help people with PTSD, but when you're opening up healing for children, those animals have to really be trained to be spiritual beings alongside the person that's bringing that. Because, there are times you go to the nursing homes, you see somebody that brings a dog and the dog goes from room to room to room to room. Mm-hmm. I remember when my grandma was in a nursing home, they had 2 cats that were there. Those cats were spiritual demon killers. They kicked the shit out of everything that were in that nursing home.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah,
sure.
And this cat would saunter into my grandma's room, and she'd go, "Oh, kitty, kitty," and she'd jump up on her lap and purr and roll over and give me the eye. Who are you? You know.
Yeah, they're like master gatekeepers. I love cats.
Yeah. So that's an experience you could design for kids and make it really easy. But people have been doing that for years. What's going to make yours uniquely different for that individual kid?
Yeah.
Huh?
Just to take out all the school system.
Well, it's how you run it as an adult and the respect you give them.
Yeah, it's like the stuff's already built. We already have the buildings. We have the people. Right. We have everything. We've got so much.
You just need somebody to put together a plan.
Yeah.
And that's tempering the wildfire that you are.
That's hard.
I know.
Back to you, DiTina. You asked for it. Now you have to do it. It's like your homework now.
It's been long homework.
We haven't. So see if there's any audience questions. Oh, Andrew, do you also want to talk about not audience, sorry, parties, what do you call them? Chat. You have the new platform for the Universal Media,
Universal Citizen Media with David. Yeah, with David Ellis. That's up and running.
Yeah, maybe you want to talk about that and your book a little bit, maybe.
Okay, so I have a broadcasting platform that I've been putting together with David for a while that's going to feature other people that come out and do their podcasts. And it's all people that are in the trusted circle that can do it right. And we're training some of them how to be better podcasters in the background. Now, as for the book, it came out January 15th. We've had incredible sales worldwide. We had one person in Japan that bought 54 copies, one person in Japan. So for whatever reason, there's selling a lot. Exactly.
He has 54 timelines. He's passing it on to all his different timelines.
Exactly. And the book's going to be one of those ongoing things. Some people say it's all stuff I've heard before, but it's put together in such a way that I never perceived. Or this is all brand new stuff to me, because Bruce is able to take my words and not necessarily simplify it, but expand the context for people. And context is so vital in understanding how we move forward in our life. Because there are times we may have a truth, but not have the context to the truth, and therefore the truth is not as validated. Then there are times we have the truth, but no context behind it at all. So there's a unique variable equation between context and truth, and how we can perceive truth through context.
So is that platform available like for everybody, anybody, or it's just
it's available for everyone? Yeah, it's free.
You mean
like to watch it is free, but let's say I create content. How do I get my content there? Or is it only for few people to upload their content?
No, we are looking for people to bring content to it. We want to bring more anybody and more content. Anybody can, but you just go through the content approval process.
Okay, there's an approval. Okay,
it's basically you've got to have a minimum modicum of production behind it, because David's goal is to make a 24-hour TV station, because he's got Roku and Apple TV secured now too. So you don't need to be on your computer to get to the channel. You don't need to be in Facebook. If you want to join the group, go to Universal Citizen Media's Facebook group and just start exploring from there at all the available stuff that David's got going and all the different shows that are going up.
I also saw that there's now an app as well.
Yeah, that app, David finished the app back in February. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. So we're looking at a big TV show, or I guess that's TV. What would we even call that?
Part of me doing books is to transition out of the last 10 years of what business has accumulated for me. Because what's next for me? Okay. It's never been about audience size. It's how much I affect the individual people and the growth that they go and the unique friends that I've made on the journey. Okay? So audience size it's never really made a difference to me because I've always known I'm 100 years early. And those that are on the beginning of this cusp will begin to get it and make the work towards the journey of what they want to do for the greater changes as we go through the multiple phases of disclosure, fake disclosure, non-disclosure, kicking the can down the road, because that's what's coming ahead of us for quite some time until individuals in the uncollective make the journey through the uncollective and collectivize themselves as part of living in this world and in the other world simultaneously as fully functional multidimensional beings.
So that kind of ties into the one thing I wanted to make sure to catch before our time's up in the book.
Okay.
You wrote, it's a hologram because it is light projected into a three-dimensional manifestation.
The three-dimensional manifestation is the celestial space that is offering linear time in the Akashic record for beings to come from every aspect of the universe and create spiritual contracts of resolution here through the celestial medium that is recording the experience in the Akashic record.
Brilliant. And whenever I think of this three-dimensional manifestation, for some reason, I think of the heart brain, the belly brain, and the brain.
Yes, all aspects of the three-dimensional reality.
Right, because I'm as within, so without, as above, so below. So,
well, the reality of the mind, the brain, the heart, the gut, the three aspects is what makes up manifested 3D reality, meaning spirit and body resolving contracts, or spirit and body creating dharma, good things. The key thing here is spirit and body, which moves the 3D reality.
Yeah, and even just feeling that and hearing you say that, I feel so grounded. Because when I think about things like holograms and illusions and all of this, it makes me very uncomfortable. But recognizing that it's in this human body as well is like.
So part of you is taking it too literal, but there are parts of you that have to take it too literal to validate it, which is mind going too far, not allowing heart to catch up. Right.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
Because what does heart offer mind? Perspective.
Yeah.
Perspective, which is everything about how to perceive something.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to bring up.
There's also different perspectives, right? That's where, like, the heart can show different perspectives to.
Oh yeah.
So it's like picking the best one in that moment, I guess.
No, it's the delicate balance of allowing the brain to be the brain, but not allow the ego of the brain to take over and deny the heart for long periods of time.
Okay, so it's that fine balance. It's like finding the balance between the mind and the heart, right?
Yep. There are times you got to be in mind. Like, let me tell you something. The heart's really bad at processing very difficult emotions. It wants the brain to do it. And the heart will do whatever it could do to motivate the brain to go through the emotions. Then there are certain emotions that can only be done by the heart. Yeah.
So it's also experience, right? The more we do it, the more better we get at it.
Exactly.
Yeah. And the spirit can also embody different bodies, right? Because you were talking about embodying the spirit. So it could be also be in different bodies, right? So that's where souls.
Well, you have this body, and this body is not duplicated in other places. It is in other places. But this I am now today in this body is this I am now today in this body. It is not a duplicate because the I am individuates it as an individual with its own Akashic record. It's not a subservient to any other consciousness field, unless it chooses subservience through the shared reality rules of the global narrative. That's why this place is a farm.
So I don't need to know about the other bodies in other universes that I have. Just need to just focus on this one.
For you, yes, individually now, just focus on this one. There may be a time where you're like, out of the next journey of, what's on my lateral perspective. I haven't looked at this yet. Let me go look. Okay, but it shouldn't dominate you. No.
Mm-hmm. It's just another perspective, right? That also is just
exactly.
showing, yeah.
It's just another one of the infinite perspectives that are out there.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Any events? You're not planning to do any events or anything like that, right? Just online
when just online. At the nature of this business, if you're going to plan an event, you got to do it 6 to 10 months ahead of time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's the way physical events work. 6 months ago, I was not ready to do a live show because we were still in lockdown.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? 4 months ago is when it started appearing like the lockdown was going to get let go. I still think it's going to come back.
Mm-hmm.
I still think they're going to try to hit us with more and more lockdowns. It's a matter of they're going to let us go the whole summer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? They're still threatening variant B. Variant B is out there. It's going to get you, even if you're vaccinated.
Oh yeah. The latest one where people are saying that if they got the vaccine, they're now magnetized, and they're oh my gosh. Hey, it really quick too. Last time our whole show was discombobulated, and like I said, we were in Sedona, and there was some stuff I was picking up on in the vortexes, or within the vortexes. And could you really quickly share that?
The vortexes that you were in when you were in Sedona?
What's that?
The vortexes in Sedona during that live broadcast last year?
Yes.
A couple of months back. Yeah.
So let me put it this way. Sedona is the Las Vegas of sacred places.
Yeah. Yes.
You never know you're never going to know what you're going to get, and the house always wins.
Yeah.
And whatever happens in Sedona stays in Sedona.
No, that's not true. A lot of stuff in Sedona comes back to you like a spiritual STD. Sorry.
Watch that.
Sorry to be so visceral, but unfortunately, you got some stuff that goes on in Las Vegas, the sacred places. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now there are people that want to go to Las Vegas. That's all they want to do is go to the strip clubs and just bet all their money. Then there are other people that go for the shows. Mm-hmm. Okay. Then there are the people that want, legal hookers, and that's a whole different energy process and frequency that they're dealing with. Now, what was going on with you?
I could see the vortexes switching. So they were going in one direction, and then they would start going into another, and then they were expanding and contracting differently than I had seen them before.
Yes, but the place that you had been in before had a rhythm to it. And this rhythm was grinding to both of you, which created the disconnect of energy and the discombobulation on the broadcast. Your home frequencies were at odds with the shifting vortexes in Sedona. Mm-hmm. Think of it as pulling the lever on the slot machine, and winning. You would win if you were back at your home and your house, but you lost when you were in Vegas, or you won while you're in Sedona but lost at home.
Okay. Yeah, because I get what you're saying, and then we also had David Wood with us, and we were going to talk about Shasta and the solar flares, and I don't know, there was just this huge buildup of things, and then it was just like,
oh. And then I was supposed to be on again, and I that didn't show up in my schedule.
Yeah. Okay.
I didn't show up on my schedule. I'm so sorry about that, but. Oh. The oddness of that.
No, that was the one time. I think we didn't get anyway. I think after that, this is the one we scheduled. But was there another one? Maybe that was in a different timeline, so I have to check my other.
No. My internet died on that one.
Yeah.
My internet died, and I didn't get internet back till 8:00, and I couldn't log in with my phone because my phone only gets 2 bars of signal here, not enough for data.
Okay, so to close the chapter on Sedona and the vortexes, is there any benefit of people at this moment going to a vortex in Sedona?
If you're going to be one of those ghost hunters, no, there's no reason for you to go there. You don't go out curiosity into a vortex and allow your unintentional creative energies to create things around you out of fear, anxiety, and contempt. You should not be a vortex hunter, just like you shouldn't be a tornado hunter unless you're really trained. Okay? Mm-hmm. Would you recommend to an 18-year-old kid to drive to the center of a tornado and get out of their car and put on their cell phone camera?
No.
No. Okay?
Sure.
Same thing comes with vortexes. Okay?
And same thing with plant medicine too, right? The same thing.
Yes, same thing with plant medicine. Exactly.
Yeah. It's just the intention before you do it and also while you're doing it, or just before?
Well, also you have spiritual contracts with the medicine to go through the nature of the experience that's there for you at that time.
So intention could be again out loud or written, or how do you?
All of the above. There's baby steps. There's intentions, which is baby steps, one little tiny toe in front of another, and then there's adult intention that has discipline and commitment and courage behind it.
Right, like maybe record a video, put it on YouTube. I'm going to Sedona. This is my intention. That'll be out loud enough, I guess.
Yeah, but you wouldn't have to validate it through a video. You could write it in your journal. Write it in your journal and allow it to be hindsight.
Right. No, I was joking about the YouTube, but even just for me, just record it and just watch it myself, not on YouTube, but that. Just saying it's basically to get our minds and hearts clear about what are we going to do, or why are we doing whatever we're going to do, right?
With the commitment and courage behind those definitions,
Mm-hmm.
To truly be empowered when you say those words.
All right.
And I think it's important to kind of tying in with the Sedona thing. It's like listening to this, where it's like I hear a lot of people saying I'm being called, I'm being called to do this, I'm being called to do that. I'm saying it myself. I'm being called to work with children and teach and somehow, change my direction of my career, So being called to an actual place like Sedona.
Okay, I'm going to have the cookie cutter pessimist point of view here. Because how many Facebook posts have you said, who has a calling to turn over every rock in the reality? Okay. Who has a calling to, okay. Unfortunately, calling is so cliched today that the fake it to makers say, I'm on a calling to discover myself, but they never just call themselves to discover themselves. Then there are times we have a calling, like you're saying, but you don't have any tempered energy with it. Right. So how is it really a calling?
Exactly.
It's more of it's an impulse. It's not a formulated thought construct that has spiritual solidity behind it.
Right. So what I'm feeling is essentially I'm calling myself out. It's no different than someone that's saying like, oh, I'm being called to go to Sedona.
Are you calling yourself though? Are you actually calling yourself?
Yeah, I'm open to calling myself on this. Absolutely.
Okay, call up yourself right now. Okay, if I have this calling, why haven't I done it?
Because I've had too many ideas over the last 6 months, and I don't know which one to choose.
Whose fault is that?
There's no fault.
Whose discipline is that? Yes, there is a fault. And the I am in the moment that made tomorrow a day that never happens. Okay. And my mom used to throw that line at me when I was growing up all the time. Tomorrow's never a day in the week.
Yeah.
Okay. And when you have your calling, tomorrow's never a day in the week, because I'm always thinking today what I might do tomorrow. But tomorrow comes and I'm thinking about what I'm doing that day. And tomorrow never comes. because you haven't tempered your energy into commitment, discipline, courage, and spiritual strategy to focus your unique genius in the moment to make a plan and follow through, because it's much easier to have tomorrow never be a day in the calendar and to keep mental masturbation of what this calling is.
Exactly.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Then after a while, you hit the real clitoris and G spot of the mental masturbation, and I can do it. Oh fuck, I have no skills to do this. And then you defeat yourself and you never end up doing anything. Okay?
It's more like I really want to do it well. I want to be like proficient and not harm anyone.
That's overthinking. That's just using overthinking to say, no, I can't do it today. I might harm someone. Okay. Guess what? Anytime you can drive out of the car and you could randomly hit someone or somebody can randomly hit you, right?
Yep.
We will make mistakes.
Yeah.
What I'm realizing is that taking the small steps, because sometimes I'm waiting for the big steps to do something, but we have to take those small steps, right? Like,
yes. And the small steps all dovetail into the big steps.
Right.
So I don't think I'm going to use the word calling anymore.
Take that out of your dictionary.
Yes, take that out of your light worker dictionary.
Don't call email. Email, call it emailing.
Unfortunately, there's somebody in our community that has a weirdly unique following that gets emails from the Prime Creator.
Wait, what?
What?
Oh yeah, there's a lady out there, quite famous in her own unique groups, that literally gets emails from Prime Creator. Like the Prime Creator was like her business boss, and sends her business emails.
Is that
people believe that shit?
Oh, okay.
People believe that shit.
Okay.
Yeah. Does it go in her spam folder or inbox?
Good one. I made a lot of those jokes when I first saw. I'm like, this is the shit she's marketing. Holy fuck! What? Are people that dumb? Unfortunately, there are some people who have not done their work for so long. They appear to be that dumb. Yeah. I don't want to rail on other, names here, but getting emails from the Prime Creator is just an example of how ridiculous podcasting world has come and what people accept now compared to 5 years ago. People accept far less back then than they do it today. Today, they accept just about anything. Baby Jesus and Trump are real for a lot of people. Baby Trump Jesus. Okay? They even made damn t-shirts of Trump as Jesus.
Oh my God.
But isn't that the same as channeling? Like what she's saying, getting emails and people who are getting channeling messages, same thing, right? I mean,
No,
she's just taking. Yeah.
She was using this as a marketing ploy. Okay? I'm getting emails from the Prime Creator. But she believed her own bullshit after a while, and she actually believed she was getting emails from Prime Creator.
But the message, if the message is true,
the message in it was buy gold, buy silver, get out of cryptocurrency. Okay? That's what the Prime Creator was saying in his email. Okay? Believe in Trump. Okay? Prime Creator taking sides. Buy this stock.
Bitcoin, buy Bitcoin. Yeah. I
Prime
got those emails
Prime
too.
Creator says buy Bitcoin, but but Elon Musk, has a bigger move on crypto with a half a fart live.
I used to get those emails too, but I filtered them out.
Okay.
Yeah. After I met DiTina, I realized who I am, and I'm like, no more spams.
Right. You got a spiritual pop-up blocker. Okay. Took off all the bloatware on your consciousness drive. Okay. You don't need Bejeweled and all those other half virus game things that are there.
Yeah. Wow.
I want to point out about cell phone addictions for a minute. I haven't railed on cell phone addictions in a while, but COVID has onboarded extreme cell phone addictions into people this last year.
Yeah.
Extreme. And I think you're going to see a lot of people going back to work and a lot of them getting fired because of bad cell phone habits.
Oh, fuck. Oh.
Okay.
I'm not going back.
Yeah. Have you ever thought you heard your phone ring and it's not actually ringing?
Yeah, even buzzing, even the vibration.
There's actually a psychological term for that. When you hear your phone ring and it actually isn't ringing, it's a form of anxiety.
Wow.
It's called psychosis.
Yeah, it's an actual psychosis. Yeah.
Even vibrations. Some people are reading, even though they get the vibrating thing work, but it's not actually vibrating.
Or those kids that have it's a low frequency tweet. It's like tit noise.
Oh yeah.
But adults over 30 can't hear it. Why? Because your ears aren't tuned to that unique frequency, and kids' ears are.
Wow.
So what are we gonna do about it? Just, I mean, is there? That's where the kids' education comes in, right?
That's where my fire comes in.
Yeah.
You got to help them break their addictions and see the addiction for what it is. You know, somebody's going to need to make a 12-step process for cell phones and social media.
It's a good idea. I'm gonna pick that up before somebody does.
Yeah, stop giving me more ideas.
Yeah.
No, you could make that into a stand-up comedy routine.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's
yeah. Make that a stand-up comedy, a 12-step process for cell phone addiction.
Ooh.
And I could hand out some papers to everybody, like,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And one of them, 12-step process is making amends with, the people that you've done wrong to. And that's would mean having a dinner with mom and dad with no phone on the table.
Yeah, like leave the phone at the door. There's some parties that do that, right? Like leave phone at the door. And now it's like leave the door for the whole day kind of a thing. Like instead of just for the party, it could be an exaggerated version of that to make it more funny and real.
Yeah. About 6 months ago, I broke my iPhone. I dropped it or something like that, and I had to go get a new phone, and they weren't able to transfer all my data. And so I didn't have my apps, my notifications, none of that stuff for like a couple of days until I finally, reprogrammed the phone. And I'm like, I don't want this anymore. I took off all social media, everything off my phone. Only it texts, it does text, it does phone calls, and it could get on the internet, but there's no Skype on it. Zoom if I want to get into Zoom, but that's it.
Wow.
So no notify, it not even email. It doesn't even connect to my email.
Oh, you're going old school.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm in front of a computer 6 to 8 hours a day minimum. Okay. So that data is always being broadcast at me. So when I'm away from the computer, my phone's not reconnecting me back to my work.
Yeah.
Which is what it was doing.
Yeah, that's to nature and stuff like that, because even if we have the phone with us and we go to nature, it doesn't have that much of a negative effect, right?
It can. It's all about.
I mean, in terms of the waves, I'm talking about the waves also, right? The waves that the Wi-Fi and the electromagnetics of that.
Okay, one individual phone doesn't do a lot to you, but 100 Wi-Fi broadcast spots and 30 phones in area is a lot of energy. Okay, in the neighborhood that I'm in right now, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, about 15 houses within 500 yards, 300 yards, no less, 200 yards. That's 15 Wi-Fi hotspots, 3 phones per house, sometimes maybe 4. So we're talking almost 100 broadcast devices within 200 yards. And then you could go to neighborhoods that are city blocks, and it's quadruple that. It's 300 per block.
Yeah, big apartment building.
Right. And let's say you have 200 apartments, and everyone has a Wi-Fi router.
Right.
Do you think the addiction has something to do with the waves?
Absolutely. But it's more of how this system was engineered to be addictive to you as a dopamine release. So Facebook is designed to have a dopamine release about an upflow, downflow, click, whatever. It is psychologically designed to abuse you, as is all the social media engines.
So it's just replaced.
It's set up psychologically to create addiction.
Yeah, it's replaced television, right? People used to think, oh, no, I'm not getting addicted to television, but the same people are probably now addicted to the internet and the phones. And then there'll be something else new that comes up, and then, it's
something else, and then something else, and then something else. Right now, social media is the main addicting, is social engineering addiction factor that's limiting human beings.
The neural link that Elon Musk talks about, the chip in the head, do you know how far that's away? I think it's probably, do you have any idea?
I think they've already tested it and made it work.
Yeah.
It's a matter, can they mass produce it and sell it?
Yikes.
And I'd never do it.
Yuck. Me neither.
I'd never do it. Okay.
But that's what we said. That's what I said about vaccines. I'm like, I'm never going to do vaccine. But then they're like, you can't travel without vaccine. So they put all these conditions, right?
That's right.
So it's just, all right. I think I'm complaining too much about.
Oh,
you better hope they don't ban your channel because you said the word vaccine.
Oh, yeah. Let's delete that.
No, I don't think vaccine is a bad word for them. But now you
never know. You never know with YouTube anymore. You never know.
All right. Thanks, Andrew. Yeah, DiTina, you're going to say something.
Oh, yeah, it was just the recognition of like when I was little, of course, we didn't have phones and I didn't have TV. So I just stared at the walls, and like when I was I stared at the walls, or I just daydreamed or counted things on the ceilings or talked to spiders. So like that's one option. And then we have the other option of just turning it off, but going back again to like where we're at. What are the other options that we have? Like in a massive like apartment building, I'm tempted to say, okay, for 2 hours a day, everybody has to turn off their Wi-Fi, but that sounds so
draconian.
Yeah, and be like, this is a new Nazi rule.
Right? It's so I'm just thinking
Yeah, I think that's where people are building these communities, the eco villages and permaculture stuff where there's less technology, I guess.
Yeah, but those are all fabrications of the mind. None of them are really real. And even if they are real, they can't house more than 8 or 10 people. Come on. It's so many light workers fall victim to this community crap. And I'm sorry to be the pessimistic side again, but people have to have a reality pill when it comes to community-based living. Like I said before, you may have this person who could do construction, permaculture, this and that, but they're an emotional wreck and they're going to take everyone down in the community.
Yeah,
because they don't do any spiritual work. Right.
Choosing the lesser evil. What do you call it? Like which
lesser of two evils? Yeah.
Lesser of two evils. So which one to choose? Like a technology, too much technology, or emotional wrecks.
Okay. Or let's say you get another person that can physically do a lot of stuff, but all they do is apologize for everything that goes wrong. I'm sorry this happened. I'm sorry. And they're just a meek person. Okay. After a while, that's going to create a hierarchy. And people don't realize how you can create a hierarchy around you through meekness.
Ooh.
I mean, those will be exceptions, I guess, but we're talking about people who are on the same page. And it could be a bigger one.
That's not true. Narcissists can create communities that will work better than the spiritual people, because narcissists recognize other narcissists.
Right.
Okay?
I mean, we're not talking about spiritual community. I'm more talking about like eco-friendly living.
Same thing. That's really a farce. Okay. It's a building fad. It's not a committed movement. It's a building fad that people have like coffee table conversation books. I built my house out of hempcrete. No, you didn't. That's all drywall. Okay. Well, I was thinking about building a hempcrete house.
So you're saying there's no way to get out of the infrastructure that we live in?
No, there are plenty of ways. People are just going about it the wrong way now.
Or doing it like me, too many things at once, mental masturbation, can't choose.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
You're going for
Use
your
me as that
psychic.
example. Don't do that.
That's right.
So what are those steps then? Maybe even people who are listening, like what are those small steps that we all can take to get there, right? Like
Commitment, courage, discipline, self-healing, self-nurturing, self-mastery, self-illumination. Defining those words as part of you moving through the journey of understanding your spiritual hygiene and what it takes to maintain hygiene.
I mean, the steps to actually build, I mean, those are all internal, right? I'm saying like out there, external steps.
That is an external step. Self-healing is, I'm going to heal today. I'm going to go and get a massage. I'm going to go and do something that truly brings healing into the body out of choice. Self-nurturing. Today, I know I need to stay at rest and stop my mind from taking over and giving tasks. Self-love. Today, I'm going to actually experience my love. I'm going to touch my body, mind, and spirit with it as a uniqueness that isn't sexual, but I will feel the warmth of my own hand and I will not be numb to my own touch. Okay, giving yourself those unique experiences. That's the step-by-step process.
I mean, like in specific cases, let's say I want to live in an eco-friendly or whatever, less technology-dependent community. Either I look for one or I create one, right? What are those steps we can take to create one, maybe? Like connect with like-minded people and, you know.
First thing is going to be understanding conflict resolution.
Mm-hmm.
How do you resolve conflicts in a group of people that have to learn how to live together? So conflicts don't hold grudges and authority. There you go. That's your step one, conflict resolution.
Okay, that'll take me 5 years. So let's stop there.
Conflict resolution, exactly.
I mean, guys, even to get there. Yeah, all right. We're running out of time. Thanks, Andrew, for joining. We can keep going.
Yeah, I got to move on. I've got another call.
All right. Thanks so much. And thanks, DiTina.
Yeah, thank you so much, Andrew, and congratulations on all of your beautiful work.
Thank you so much, guys. I look forward to being on and talking to you